Well, the abduction storm is far from over in Kaduna State, and barely 3 days after 121 students of the Bethel Baptist College Maraban Rido in Chikun local government area were abducted. About 13 persons have been abducted by bandits in Sabo Tasha community of the area. Now, youths in Sabo Tasha took to the streets to protest the latest attack by blocking the roads, leading to traffic gridlock. Jide, this is really worrying when we get to hear reports of this nature almost on a regular basis. This is becoming more like a norm. Are we saying that we are comfortable with what we are hearing, what we are seeing, children being kidnapped from their schools, from their homes? I mean, it's really becoming unbecoming, if I'll use that language.
Yes, it's getting really bad, especially in the Northwest. Talking about kidnappers, school kids, you know, in 2014, the government came up with the Safe Schools Initiative, and it was supported by the World Bank. But unfortunately, that Safe School Initiative was just about protecting schools in the Northeast. It was not extended to other parts of the country. As we have seen now, the problem is largely with the Northwest. And yes, in Niger State, we've had 2 cases. But in Kaduna alone, in the last few months, we've had 4 schools raided by kidnappers, and it's terrible. The truth is, before now, kidnappers were merely going after road travelers. But they know that every time they kidnap school children, there will be publicity. Publicity will draw the attention of government. Government will go ahead to pay ransom, although they will tell you and I that they didn't pay. It has now become clear to government that these guys had been encouraged by repeated payment of ransom by our leaders. So now, at all levels, government has decided to stop paying ransom. But these guys, having already tasted the huge profit that comes from mass abductions, are not prepared to stop. Now, in Kaduna is looking like the worst place to stay in our country now. They go into people's homes, drag them out of their beds, and then take them away. It's happening in Zaria, it's happening in Kaduna town, especially Chikun local government. And it's been happening like that for some time. There seems to be some attitude that suggests powerlessness to deal with the situation, especially in Kaduna State.
Well, like a daffodil attitude, more or less.
I've seen the governor show a willingness to fight these people.
So why is it so difficult to handle? Perhaps
there are limitations that he simply cannot, you know, it's not the commander-in-chief. It does not have the power to deploy troops. We've got to be fair to governors. People who are blinded by psychophancy, hypocrisy, they would not be fair to governors when we are talking about the fact that they are not chief security officers in their states.
Well, this is people's life at stake now, because no one is sure of tomorrow when we get to see or hear reports of bandits attacking homes, schools, and areas which is not expected at all.
That is why there ought to be a solution. The UNICEF rates the school attendance rate of northern Nigeria at 53%, which means that many children are out of school. They are in their homes, some are roaming the streets. We know that many schools in the Northeast, for example, have been closed since 2014. In Kaduna, the school calendar has been seriously altered, not because the governor wished to do that, but because of these activities of these bandits. So government is forced to close schools, thereby negatively affecting the school calendar.
Right.
You know, the Oyedepo school, for example, Bishop Oyedepo school, they had to close because bandits made an attempt to kidnap students in the school. They were repelled by the army. We have to express gratitude to the army for standing up to them. They repelled them, but the governor went ahead and shut the school because we are not sure that after they repelled these outlaws today, that they can't come back with full force and then achieve their aim.
Havoc.
So it's just terrible.
Indeed. Now, Deji, let me call your Labisi apologies. You know, when we get to hear these things, from what Babajide has, rightly pointed out, the governor has tried in his own capacity, and it's left for the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, which is the president, to do the needful, driving troops into these areas, and perhaps, decimate these bandits, so to speak. But how much longer do you think the people have to wait for the government to do the needful after seeing these reports happening on end?
Well, I think obviously from what we are seeing, even the commander-in-chief appears to be helpless, and that is highly unfortunate because this is not the first time this is happening, like you have rightly pointed out. As a matter of fact, between December and 2 days ago, about 950 school children have been kidnapped in Nigeria. And in the last 6 weeks, over 500 of them were kidnapped. To show you how incessant this thing is taking place. And if we want to say that, okay, the commander-in-chief should act, I believe if he wanted to act, he ought to have acted before now. So the fact that we are not seeing much of action from the commander-in-chief himself, to me, it shows that probably the commander-in-chief is also handicapped.
By what now? Because he is
by what now, I do not know, because it's now showing, the only conclusion I can reach is that something is wrong. And that, you see, when the chief of staff was, army staff was talking, he said they've succeeded in sending many bandits to God, to answer for their crimes. Unfortunately, we have not even seen the results of people being sent, which means that, for me, it shows that even though our forces could be trying their best to tackle this problem, but their best is not just good enough. And I think that is a major problem. And I don't think also that we should leave school children to be used as baits, as commodities to be sold, or, because from what we are seeing now, it's like this is a thriving business. Even if governments at all levels refuse to pay ransom, you can be sure that parents will not allow their children to be with kidnappers and fold their arms. The school authorities who are supposed to take care of these children cannot afford to fold their arms. So you can also hear from the latest kidnap that the school authorities have said that they are going to do everything within their power to make sure that those children are back to school. And everything means everything. In fact, they said if it is necessary to negotiate with the kidnappers, they will negotiate with them.